Hello and welcome back. We are back with the She Is Me conference, and we are just so pleased to welcome Rebecca Smith-McGovern. Rebecca, you have the floor.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for that introduction. Welcome, everyone. My name is Rebecca Smith-McGovern, and I am Awakening Seraphina. And one of the things that brought me to this conference was actually the energy around it. When I connected to the energy of this space and what it was about, and when we consider the opportunity that we have to connect, when we consider the way that energy transforms through our connection through humanity, these are important opportunities. So wherever you are, if you're watching this live or if you're watching a recording of this energy and this connection, we are all one within this. And I originally had a plan for the story that I was going to share today. And it changed a little bit today because I had a conversation with someone about perspective and power. And it took me back to where it all began for me, which was probably 19 or 20 years old. And at that point in time, I was sitting in a doctor's office at 19 and 20 and listening to a doctor tell me that I had 5 years to live. That's what I was going to get. I had 5 years to live. And he went on to say that if I survived for 5 years, I was going to need a liver transplant. And this was literally his destiny for me. This was the definition of my life according to the medical system. And I sat in that office. I was there with my mother and at that time a boyfriend that I had. And my mom was open around it. She wasn't pleased, obviously, but I remember how it was bought hook, line, and sinker by my boyfriend at the time. He completely, I watched his whole demeanor collapse in around the words that were shared and what was defined. And for myself, I became angry. I didn't express this outwardly, but I became angry. I felt anger inside of myself. I was scared. But I also felt a great degree of anger because I felt, who is this person to define who I'm going to be for the rest of whatever my life is? And in that moment, I made a choice and I just said no. I said no. When this came down in my life, I was in college. I was a veterinary science major. I was heavily invested in that. And I began researching absolutely everything that I could surrounding, autoimmunity, liver disease, all kinds of things. I spent hours in the library. There was no internet. So I spent hours researching, what was happening with my body. And as I continued to research, my body continued to break down. I would become a little bit better, and then another body system would break down. And over a period of that 5 years, I went from having not only the autoimmune liver disease, but I was also receiving diagnoses of fibromyalgia, of having thyroid disease, and possibly, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, it was a cascading experience where I felt like I was in a death spiral. I felt like I was in a death spiral and I was clawing my way. It was like I was clawing my way to stay alive. And I felt completely abandoned by God. That's how I felt inside of that experience. And as I traveled and processed and, kept trying new and different things, new medications, new approaches, naturopathic, chiropractic, acupuncture, all of these different aspects to address my problems, I continued to experience the cascade of symptoms, everything breaking apart in my body. And I developed pleurisy. I developed pericarditis. Pleurisy is inflammation of the lung lining. Pericarditis is inflammation of the heart lining. And following the pleurisy, though we recovered I was able to recover from the actual inflammation itself through major doses of steroids. I never was able to get through the pain. It continued to persist. And I lay in bed one night in tears, absolutely in tears. And I cried out, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. And it was as though a switch turned off in my head. You know how we have our thoughts running in our mind and we can hear our thoughts. We can hear what we're thinking about and experience them. So imagine that you can no longer hear your thoughts, but you hear a voice. And I heard a voice, and this voice said, "You will have pain for 3 more days. This pain will gradually recede, and on the 3rd day, it will be gone." And the first thing I did was I spoke in my mind of, "Is this real?" Because I thought I was losing my mind at that point. "Is this real?" And the answer was yes. And I asked, "Is there anything that I need to do to receive this?" I was thinking it must be conditional. We as humans are trained that everything is conditional. That's part of the programming. It's conditional, right? So I asked that question and the answer was no. And then I asked the next human question, which is, why me? Why me? And the answer was, all are chosen, most don't listen. And that right there is why I do my work. Because I know that every person is chosen. Every person is chosen for healing. Every single person. When we talk about perspective, I talked about power and perspective at the beginning. And we base so much in external. It's very common, especially when we have, an illness or something that is life-threatening or emotionally really over the top. We base and judge through an external source, through an external filter. And yet, in truth, the healed state is already in existence within you. The true power lies within you and your unique perspective. Each of us is a dynamic, transformational being. Every single one of us is dynamic and transformational. And we cannot compare one experience to another. What we can do, though, is connect and regain the scene of our healed state and awaken the healer within us. And that healer is unique because you are the unique reflection of the universe. I struggled for a number of years with recognizing my own dynamic, with recognizing the value of being who I am. And yet that's exactly where my power lies. That's exactly where my healed state lies. And each of us has that ability to come into that state and connect to it. And the way that we process, the way that I call it a process, but in some ways it's not a process, but we listen, we connect, we listen, we take action on what comes to us. We hold faith and trust in that action, and then come back and take reconnect and begin that cycle again. And this is the basis for really a spiral of energy that propels us into the highest form that we are meant to carry as beings. We're spiritual beings having a physical experience here in this world. We are in the physical world. We're dealing with things that are, that are physically challenging, that we physically experience. Yet, the way that we address these things is through this dynamic connection to spirit. As part of this, I created an activation that is going to be available, to those of you that are on this. But what really came to me today was an activation for the heart space, and I'm going to share that with you, and you're totally welcome. Just relax, and wherever you are, unless you're driving a car right now, wait till you get home, to connect into this transmission, to connect into this activation. And it's what I'm guided to do in this moment, so that I know that it's appropriate for us at this time. So take a moment to let go of whatever you're experiencing right now, and relax into the beat of your heart. Become aware. Become aware of the heartbeat. Become aware of the breath. Notice the air around you, the feel of your skin, the way the air feels against your skin. Focus on breathing. Breath in and a breath out. Really grounding yourself into that breath. And what is beginning to show itself is the light. The color is rather a pink. It is flowing in and surrounding the heart space. And as it surrounds the heart space, begins to be the flow of energy moving out in waves from the heart. Allow yourself to see this in whatever way it presents. What I see is like a drop in the pond. When you drop a pebble in the pond, there's the ripple. So this is a continuous ripple out into the universe. And this is carrying your message. This is carrying your being. This is carrying your truth, the truth of who you are. Even if in your mind you're not sure what that is or what that looks like, that truth exists within you now and is known. And this ripple of truth is traveling out into the universe. And as this travels, this is touching humanity and source. There is no singular thing, no singular energy that does not affect another. Notice a platform, almost a platform of gold that is forming beneath your feet. Just allow your toes to touch that. And this begins to stream and feed through the bottom of the feet, up through your legs. Reaching your lower chakras. See it filling the spinal column. And as it travels into the spinal column, this reaches and touches the nerve endings, sending signals to all cells. It's the life force of the healed state. It shows itself as peace. It shows itself as connectivity to earth. And that gold is continuing to travel, moving up the spinal column, kind of between the shoulder blades, encompassing the rib cage. Reaching the occipital, the back of the head. This is creating a connection with the auditory components of the ear. This is an upgrade. Activation to nerve endings and connecting to the third eye and the pineal gland. There's a singular column of light extending down through the crown chakra, meeting this gold infusion. And activating the heart. This is activating the heart. Creating a new heart opening. And as we experience that, there's now the returning flow of infinite energy. Your heart is the center of that infinity. The ripple traveling out and the reciprocating energy coming back in through the heart, crossing and out through the backside of the heart, creating that infinity sign. This is a heart healing and heart opening activation. Allow yourself to continue to experience that for as long as you like. And you can revisit this at any time. The first step in healing is to open your heart and allow yourself to receive. That is the first step. So I really want to thank you for joining me on that journey. And I want to thank Lisa for creating such an incredible space to create empowerment, love, connection. It's what matters the most is love. Thank you all so much.
Like I haven't been doing this all day. I just said thank you so much. I wasn't expecting that impromptu activation, and that was so lovely.
I wasn't expecting it either. You know what happens to me is I will plan and then I receive something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I have learned that I need to follow that because when I don't, it doesn't work. So I hope that was all right.
It was fine. It was perfect. I feel energized now. I feel great. And all I could that that white beam of light with the gold going through it. Oh, that was just amazing.
Well, that power transmission that I recorded for the that was like, it goes with it. So
Yeah, it's here. I've
yeah,
put it up on the screen.
and I didn't know how this was going to come out because I got this. Yeah, I didn't know how this was going to come out, so I just went with it.
Yeah, it was great. It was wonderful. Thank you. And
So,
I was thinking about how amazing it would be next year when if we can be live with this event, that we
mhm.
all end our day with something like this,
Yeah, it's
wouldn't that be powerful?
yeah, it would be. It would be amazing.
Yeah. So that just like got my cylinders going. So
Good,
very
good.
excited about that. Thank you so much. That
Yes.
wraps up our day. You're welcome. That wraps up our day, and we will see you tomorrow. Don't forget, if you're watching this tomorrow morning, we start at 8 a.m. versus 9 a.m. We're going to start at 8 a.m. We've got Buife Nome from Nigeria. She's coming on talking about from fears to fierce and how she was a very shy, quiet child, and now she teaches women how to get up on stage and talk to thousands. So it's an amazing story. Thank you so much again, Rebecca, and we'll see you all tomorrow.